I really wanted to explain why Rome is beautiful. We know that Rome is beautiful, we know that Rome is eternal, we don't know why. My name is Ilaria Beltramme, I am the author of 101 Things to Do in Rome at least once. The original title of the 101 Things to Do in Rome at least once was 101 Things to Do in Rome Before You Die. So my publisher thought that the title was going to be too harsh for the Italian readers, since we get very affected by the idea of death, and to bring the idea of death in a book that speaks, it's about, tourism, basically, go sightseeing around Rome wasn't going to be very lucky. So he changed it the minute before he was going to go to the printer. So I didn't know that it had a new title, until they came out, actually. So, I mean, we don't really need another book about Rome. Basically, there are tons of titles, tons of really beautiful books that goes from art history on a very academic point of view until the very sightseeing, the classical guide for tourists. What I wanted to do was a mix between the two things. So I really wanted to explain very complicated things about Rome with a very simple language, in a way that they could be used. 101 Things to Do in Rome, at least once, is about experience of the city, how to use the city the way Romans use it. So it's a guide to advise foreigners to forget the maps, forget schedules, and just enjoy the city for what it is, to get lost as much as you can. It wasn't really a book for tourists. It was good for Romans as well. And in fact, a lot of Romans bought the book, which is weird and strange, but it came out as a book for locals. And I think also because I tried to explain these things, which are kind of complicated, but I try to do it in a very simple way and in an enjoyable way. It's fun. So the general idea was to do something that we already spontaneously do when we go around. Like, we mix up things. We mix up high history subjects by watching the Colosseum, for instance, enjoying it. And we also need to find a good place where to eat, or a good park where to relax. We do it already. So I think we needed a book that helped this kind of experience. And I wanted to write about the monumental part of Rome, which can be intimidating, and give the same dignity to a bar, to an old bar, or to maybe a little thing that it's not as monumental, but it is important anyway. My inspiration was definitely the love I have for this city. I come from a family of art historians, but I'm not. So I grew up into research and studies and new projects and Caravaggio. Borromini. Bernini. And they were, part of my everyday life with my family. But I felt very ignorant about the city. And so I took the chance to write the book as a chance also to study my city. Within the 101 things that I wrote, there are many spots, like little spots that I can talk you about. But what I really wanted to do is to give you 3 general ideas, general point of views that you can use to appreciate Rome wherever you go. And it's the water, the light, and the layers of Rome. So it's 3 main subjects. The first one is water. we're not Venice, so water is not something you actually see. So, you know, it's not the main characteristic of Rome, but it is actually. First, because of the river. So first suggestion is go to the river. Pay your homage to the god. The river in Rome, it's a god. Rome exists because of the river. It's our big mother, father. So right now it is forgotten because of the walls, of the big walls. It has been contained at the end of the 1800s because of the floods. But before it was this huge animal, wild animal in the city that gave jobs, fishes, life, death, everything. So water is very important. At the end of the Western Empire, Rome collapsed as a city. So to survive, the city actually got restrained into a very small part. We abandoned late imperial borders of the city, and we Romans start to live in the bend of the river, which are the neighborhoods that are in front of Castel Sant'Angelo. This is where the new Rome of the Middle Ages started again to grow. That's the Rome of the Renaissance. So the river is very important, kind of protected in the most difficult moments of her life. And water is also important because Rome is the city of the aqueducts. So definitely another place to go is the Park of the Aqueducts, where you will see them. You will see a lot of them. They look like horses, lost in the green. You know, they're beautiful. They're beautiful structures. And during the Empire, the Romans had running water at home in the homes. It was very modern. And if you think that during the Middle Ages in Rome there was no running water at all. We used to drink the water we used to drink as if I was living in the Middle Ages, but I feel like that a little bit. Romans used to drink the water from the river. So, but still, that's why we have so many fountains, monumental fountains, because water was a problem for the city. It was a big problem, and to provide water to the population was an issue that all the popes from the past had. There were very strict laws about public water and public fountains. So to take a look at fountains is always important. And then we have the very last example, icon of public water are these public fountains, iron public fountains that we have all around the city that we call the big noses, Nasoni. There's free water for all, and this is very important. You can find apps on telephones that give you a map of where all the big noses of Rome are. And when you go around sightseeing, they're very useful because then you don't have to buy water. You have it for free. So first advice for the English tourists is never buy water in Italy, in Rome. When you walk, use the big noses, use them. The best water of Rome you can drink. It's right in front of the Piazza Venezia, the Altare della Patria, the huge white building. The altar for the nation, and there's a pine cone. It's actually made of marble, a pine cone, and it has the best water of Rome. So go there and drink it. It's like the best bar. There's a Roman say that fathers used to say to children, like when they want to go out, like take me to the park, take me to this place. They would go like, I'm gonna take you to drink at the big nose. The second standpoint you can have, you can use to enjoy Rome at its best is light, definitely. I have an art historian thing to say. Caravaggio, the painter Caravaggio, who comes from the north of Italy, changed his way of painting as soon as he came to Rome. The light in the Caravaggio paintings is a symbolic light, of course. It's not just a matter of, lighting the picture. It has a huge symbolic meaning. But the quality of that light comes from the light of Rome. he learned how to enjoy light and see how light touches the monuments, surfaces. There's a frequency of the light that is different in Rome because of the mountains, because of the river, because of the water, and because of the color of the monuments. So, and during the Baroque era, the architects knew the value of the light in Rome. That's why they started to build a lot of white things, white monuments. So the white of the churches and the palaces and the buildings captures light and transforms it. So my suggestion, my advice is to always take care of the time of the day and pick what to see, also considering the light. There's one church in particular that is incredible. It's like magical. It changes colors. It depends on the time of the day you go to see it. It will change color, which is Santivo alla Sapienza. It's in the old building of the old university in Rome, along Corso Rinascimento, which is near Campo dei Fiori. It's inside a courtyard of the archive, of the National Archive, which is now the old university became the National Archive. It's made by Borromini, and it's wonderful. It has a dome, that it has a shell shape, and it's all white. So the light, at different times of the day, the light touches it, and when it becomes all pink and purple, it's wonderful. So always take care of the light. Always enjoy a moment, you know, to contemplate the light, because it's part of the Roman experience. The third point of view, it's layers. Rome is like an artichoke. You can peel and see the different time of history change right in front of your eyes, even now. Just by walking, you can read the centuries of Rome on the walls, inside the buildings. And to take care of this detail of Roman beauty, it's a way to enjoy the beauty of Rome, to qualify that beauty. There's an area in particular, as I told you before, after the collapse of the empire, Rome had to, you know, kind of become smaller to survive. There's something else we had to do. We had to eat up our own ruins to make new material, to build new buildings. So a lot of the ancient heritage was lost during the Middle Ages and the early Renaissance because it was transformed in new things. And also the ruins were used to as walls to live inside. So you will see in many like everyday buildings, you know, normal buildings. I'm not speaking about aristocratic palaces, just normal buildings. You will see a piece of column inside the wall, or you will recognize a different kind of wall, you know. That's because it's probably walls coming from different eras. And there's a place where you can learn how to read layers, which is a museum that it's often desert, so it's a sin. So I always invite people to go there because it's a place where you can actually understand the layers of Rome. That is near Largo Argentina, and it's called Crypta Balbi. It's part of the Roman National Museum, which has different places. This one, it's a museum built on top of an excavation. That it has been excavated, I think they stopped a couple of years ago, so it's quite new. And it shows Rome from the Republican era until the Renaissance. So you will actually walk on the streets of Rome during the Republican era and see all the changes of that specific part of Rome during the centuries. And you will understand also a few things about the name of the roads. The museum is on Via delle Botteghe Oscure, which is in English, about translation would be Dark Shops Road, something like this. Because during the Middle Age, the remains of an old Roman theatre were used by the Romans to build their homes and their shops. And they used the crypta, that it's a covered passage, the crypta of the theater, to put shops in there. And they didn't have any window, so they were dark. That's the name of the road. So they reuse, it's a recycle, it's a continuous recycle of the ruins and the past. And so to understand that in Rome is a way to understand its beauty. My other books are all about Rome, mainly, or they are, I wrote many guides similar to 101 Things. They all revolve around the same idea, basically. Explain beauty, explain eternity.